Thank you, Mr. Speaker. And we heard one of our colleagues open with a quote from Dr. King. I look to the day when people will not be judged by the color of their skin, but by the content of their character. And I rise to acknowledge that profound statement and to also reflect on the example in my household. And this chamber has heard me make many references to my father, Pedro Celestino Lopez, born in Camuy, Puerto Rico, 1938, who came to this country in the late 50s, had his son Peter Denton in Miami, Florida in 1961, and then began to live in the Capital District through the period where Dr. King and others were working to assert human rights and the dignity of all. And Pedro Lopez spent his time celebrating family. Pedro Lopez spent his time working. Pedro Lopez spent his time finding joy in community. And he reminded me of another quote. And despite injustice that was all around him, despite discrimination that he endured, he kept a positive message by his example and but what he imbued in his children, his 4 children. Never succumb to the temptation of bitterness. A profound quote. Pedro Lopez was never bitter. Pedro Lopez worked, he celebrated, he loved, he lived. Pedro Lopez died from cancer last summer, from throat cancer. We mourned Pedro, but we celebrated his life. We celebrated his gift of family, of community. We celebrated him. And in the small rural community in northern Appalachia, Schoharie, where maybe 4% of the population is of color, Pedro Lopez was celebrated as a neighbor, as a friend, as a person who was kind and loving. It wasn't Pedro Lopez, the Puerto Rican. It was Pedro Lopez, the good person. Pedro achieved the dream of Martin Luther King. On the south wall of the monument, my wife and I had a chance to visit the south wall of the King Monument. There's another phrase, and it's something that I try to reflect on, and it's something for all of us because we will speak his words, but we have to live them as well. And that's the hardest challenge for all of us because we all live with insecurity, all of us have baggage, all of us have issues. Dr. King said, "Darkness cannot drive out darkness. Only light can do that. Hate cannot drive out hate. Only love can do that." He encouraged us to make a career out of humanity. That is why we are here. For that reason, I celebrate Dr. King and his message, and I encourage all of us, as I try to encourage myself, to live his message every day. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.